scuba diving is one of the most amazing things you can do. And this particular person specialises in adaptive scuba diving. So with people with all different abilities and disabilities being able to access the world underwater. You're going to meet Lyndi Lisa. Deep below the water's surface, under the sea, is a world of amazement. Scuba diving is one way to come face to face with the beauty deep in the sea. And one group are ensuring that scuba diving is accessible to everyone through adaptive scuba diving. Lyndi Lisa is the founder of Scuba Gym Australia, joining you today. Hello, Lyndi.
Hey Lisa, how are you?
Good. Now, how long have you been scuba diving?
Oh gosh, hundreds of years. I think previous lives as well.
What is it about scuba diving that you love?
The magic, going underwater is a very special place for me. I love being underwater. I love exploring. I love showing people what it is, what happens, what's down there. It's just a magical place.
I am incredibly frightened of scuba diving. It's one of those things I really envy people who do it because the idea makes me feel very claustrophobic, really worried that I'll do something and stuff up. I mean, how do you do it fearlessly?
Practice. Lots and lots of practice. I don't know how I do it fearlessly because I've done it for so long, and I guess I've always wanted to. And when I did get the opportunity to go diving, I was sold. This is for me. I always loved it, and I did it as much as I could. So in order to help somebody who does perhaps have the similar fears, well, you need a good instructor, someone who maybe very passionate about diving, who wants to take you underwater. I might know someone.
It is something that anyone who does it just talks about the indescribable feelings, It's something that I don't think can be put into words. And you're very passionate about ensuring people get to experience this. And you're very much involved in adaptive scuba diving. What is adaptive scuba diving?
Yes, indeed. So adaptive scuba diving is scuba diving that allows most people who are diagnosed with a disability to dive. Now, of course, there are medicals that they have to take. There are restrictions. Not everyone can do it. We certainly don't want to be putting somebody... It is a high-risk environment, so putting somebody who potentially has seizures underwater is not something that I would do. So there are medicals in place for their safety. However, people like somebody who has autism or somebody who has a type of quadriplegia, they can scuba dive with the proper training. So it is adaptive. They would need extra buddies around them who have been trained to understand the adaptive scuba as well. So an adaptive buddy is important to have. You can't just go diving with anyone because it is a high-risk environment. So that is part of what we do. We also take people underwater and exercise them in our scuba therapy, which is just in the pool, which is also incredibly beneficial.
How is it made adaptive? What elements are included?
So we adapt the skills that they have to learn and know. And if somebody can't swim, for example, because they have quadriplegia or paraplegia, they can use their arms instead to finish their paraplegics. Quadriplegics, we would help them by supporting their legs or by putting some form of weight into their BCDs to make sure that they're balanced, etc., so that they are able to be helped. More recently, we've been working with a gentleman who has cerebral palsy who needs the help with his gear, like a lot of our disabled divers. Getting the gear on and off is always tricky, and getting it into the water with the gear is always tricky. So that's where we need the extra support around them of adaptive buddies or instructors who know what they're doing to help them.
Yeah, well, adaptive scuba diving was recently featured on Australian Story.
It was.
What are some stories that have stood out to you over the years that you've experienced firsthand?
Well, we were very fortunate to have Mick O'Dowd, who was featured on Australian Story, come to us. We didn't know he'd been on Australian Story, but he came to us and said, so for everyone who didn't see it, Mick O'Dowd is a quadruple amputee. And when he rang me and said, Lyndi, I'd love to get in the water and dive. I used to be a diver. I'm now an amputee. I was excited for him that he had made that choice to get back in the water, being an amputee. And then at the end of the conversation, I, out of curiosity, said to him, so, Mick, like, as an amputee, how many are we talking? How many limbs have been amputated? And he said, quadruple. Okay, that was the legs. Okay, well, we can do this. So that, for me, that was a standout story. Absolutely standout. Not because it was, well, obviously Australian Story came and watched us on the second dive that he did with us, which was standout. But just getting in the water with this gentleman, who is the most loveliest man, just confident, charismatic, such a down-to-earth man, wanting to be back in his happy place. Like, I know, I get it. I totally understand. And to be able to help him to be back in that place was very, very special. My crew and I might have had a little cry. We might have.
Well, when anybody's able to experience their passion when they haven't for a while, I mean, what a beautiful thing to be a part of. Does the NDIS cover any of this for some people?
Yes, they do for some people. It seems that the NDIS does is able to fund some of our participants. There are challenges others have. I know that the NDIS say if it's reasonable and necessary. Well, the best thing is for the parents when it comes to children to make those decisions, because they know what works for their kids, not a support worker or the NDIS. So we have had challenges with some of our younger clients or some of our autistic getting funding to do this because of that definition. Is it necessary and reasonable and necessary? And I would say it is if it makes somebody feel happy and whole and fulfilled, and it does that for so many of our clients who come to the pool and do scuba therapy, or those who we take in the ocean. So it's definitely up there with should be included in all NDIS packaging. Yeah,
well, recreation, fitness, I mean, those are essential parts of the human experience.
Fitness for sure, because what some people don't realise is when you put somebody, let's say somebody who's been in a wheelchair or spends their whole day in a wheelchair, whether they're paraplegics or quadriplegics, to put them in water will immediately switch on the core. So their core system, their muscles in their core start working out because they're in water. Now that's not going to happen as much in a wheelchair as it does in the water. Then we exercise them in our scuba therapy classes, getting them to work out underwater, and their lung function improves. Now you improve someone's lung function, like it just they haven't had the success like we have with lung function improving in normal exercise because of gravity. So we work them out underwater, improving the lung function. If you're getting more oxygen rushing around the body, right, you're going to make it's going to have a beneficial effect on the whole body because there's more oxygen getting to parts of the body that it wouldn't get to necessarily or would struggle to get to in without doing the exercise that we're doing. So, and those are just a few of the examples. We've had amazing things happen in our scuba therapy classes with some of our clients. Like one of our little fellows, he had hyptonia. His knee surgeon, who had done 7 surgeries on his knee, said that he was due for another one, and then he came to us, and 2 weeks later the knee surgeon said, no, we're not going to do the surgery because his knee had improved that much.
Wow.
After just 2 sessions. There's so many more. A quadriplegic lady who suddenly caught a ball. But she's got quadriplegia. How do you catch a ball if you've got quadriplegia? Right?
Mm.
And then she managed to stroke her cat, because a lot of people say, well, how does it translate on land? In this example, her cat jumped on her lap. She is a quadriplegic because of her MS that she has. It has put her in a chair for a very long time. But after doing lots of exercises or using kettlebells, we get her to do press-ups with kettlebells underwater. The cat jumped on her lap one day and she started stroking it. There you go. It translated to her being able to stroke her cat for the first time in years. That's huge. That's small for us. But for them, it's huge. Massive. One of our clients is spina bifida, and he said to me, he can cut his food now. I said, what do you mean cut your food? Yeah, he says, I haven't been able to cut my food. I didn't have the strength in my hand. Now he can, just incredible stuff happens. And, I believe that because We spend the first 9 months of our lives in water. Our bodies are mostly water. It seems like the obvious place to go, right?
And it's such a gentle thing as well. Water can be a fairly gentle body
Very gentle.
to be.
Very cleansing. Yeah. And just that feeling of the weightlessness and being free and moving, even if it is just, if it's diving, and seeing the magic that is in the underwater world, the beautiful creatures and the little starfishes and all of that, you know, even if it's not such a good dive, just being weightless is massive. Fabulous.
Where is the best place you've ever been scuba diving?
Oh, really? Oh, I need to go.
Yeah, hard one.
This is a tough one. It is. And there's lots of places I would love to go. I would think that, in fact, I know that my best dive spot is the Thistle Gorm. It's a wreck in Egypt, in the Red Sea, and it is incredible. This is an amazing wreck. There's a lot of life on it. Sea life, and it's just a really fabulous wreck to dive. There's old BSA motorbikes with the curly handlebars that certainly when I dived in the Red Sea years ago, we would sit on the motorbikes and there were jeeps piled up. And
why are the motorbikes there?
It was a World War II cargo ship that was on its way down the Red Sea, and a German fighter plane was coming back to base and had one bomb left on it, so dropped it on the Thistle Gorm. And no one was hurt, but it blew a hole in the side, sunk the ship. The ship is at about 30, 35 metres, so it's ideal for a deep dive for recreational divers. And because it was a cargo ship, it had all this cargo on it, including loads and loads of ammunition that's scattered all over the place now. But the motorbikes are just amazing. If anyone Googles it or looks it up online, you'll be able to see pictures of the Thistle Gorm. Other than that, the blue hole in Belize, that's amazing. It's a round hole, massive round hole of coral, circular, perfectly circular. From above, it looks like a big donut in the water, and it just goes down and down and down and down. It's amazing, amazing, amazing.
Wow, I've been in a blue hole just snorkeling in the Northern Territory, and it's very amazing how, you know, it just like the ocean, and then when the tide goes down, these mini holes, big holes actually, appear. But I find them incredibly scary because, as you said, they keep going. I'm thinking, what is down there? What's going to come up?
Yeah, what's going to come up?
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely. We had a shark come up, but that's because the crew on the boat were chumming the water, and this big shark, I couldn't remember what type of shark it was, but he suddenly shot up between us all. It was very entertaining. No one was hurt. It was fun. Sharks were great.
Well, I don't want to instill fear in you because that's how I operate.
No, we don't do fear. No, we don't do fear. I'd love to teach you, honestly. It'd be my pleasure and awesome for you. And the thing about scuba diving, when I am with my students, one of the things I will tell them at the beginning is you are going to change to the beliefs that you were born with, and that is you will be breathing underwater because we can't. We know that. We need an apparatus on our back and a tank on our back and a regulator in our mouth and to be able to breathe underwater. So we're going to break that belief here and now. And the other one is you get to swim without using your arms. If you are an able-bodied person, you're just going to use your legs. You're just going to kick. And the third one might be don't breathe through your nose. So, but the key one is you're going to breathe underwater. And if you can break that belief, which all scuba divers do, then you're rocking. And the whole world opens up. What else can you do with your life?
Wow, Lyndi Leggett, the Scuba Gym Australia founder and / motivational coach, with words like that. Who knows what could be open to you in the future if you just suspend your beliefs even momentarily. Thank you so much, Lyndi.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's awesome to speak to you.
You're listening to ABC.